Good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to Appium for Android with Java. So about me, I have expertise over on Appium for Android and iOS apps. My favorite tools are, languages are Java or Python. So I used to train people on Java and Python. I do have overall 12 plus of experience in IT industry, and I am dealing with the automation tools from last 12 plus years and working for different companies within these 12 plus years. Not only Appium, I have deal with Selenium, Java as well as Python, API automation testing using Java and Python. So everything I'm dealing with the open source technologies. So there is no any paid or licensed tools we need to use over here. Everything is open source, so just free to use. Automation framework building using TestNG. So TestNG is a very good tool which come along with the Java. So it's a unit testing framework. So by using this framework, we can build our own framework as per to requirement of our projects, as per to our needs of our products, right? So the TestNG is for Java, and for Python there are some other libraries available for the Python. We can use it for the Python base. But we will talk about Java in this course content. Build tools. So Maven is a build tool, so which is very famous. So with Maven will come with form.xml file. So within form.xml file, you can put all your dependency. Dependency is nothing but your open source libraries, which will not come with a Java, but yes, we can use it, which are externalized, which will be developed by third parties. For example, Selenium, Appiums, which will be building by a third party over on the Java, which we are going to use it. And for that purpose, the Maven is the build tool, which is helping us, right? So it is also an open source. So we are going to use Maven over here. Mobile automation projects, logs, and reports. Yes. So we will learn different projects, how to build, how to test over on mobile automation using those frameworks, and also how to do the logging. Okay, how to generate the logs, how to generate different kind of reports. All right. So I have expertise on this as well. All right. So this is all about me. So let's talk about the scope of the demo. So for this course content, I'm going to show you some interesting demo so that you can understand why we should go for the mobile automation and what is the difficulty with the mobile automation and how to overcome with repetitive tasks in order to automate it so that our life become easy, right? So let's suppose for an industry you are working for any mobile apps, for example Facebook or any native app. So there are different kind of apps, right? So most of the apps in the mobile has been developed for the native format, right? So if you are working, let's say for Facebook, right? So you have to test Facebook for in different devices, right? In different tablets, in different, let's say iPad, or right. So you need to do the same activity repetitive time, right? For your regression testing purpose, for your feature testing purpose, right? For your release cycle purpose, right? So why we not go for the mobile automation and let's automate it, right? So automate once and use it for many times, right? So those things, those steps which is common in nature, right? Which you do in every release, why not we can automate it, right? And for every release or for every feature testing, let's run it, let code it test, right? So code will test it. So why we should do this? Because once we will write the code, the manual effort will be not there, right? There will be less manual effort and the chances of the mistake and the human error will be less, right? Because it will be performed by the machine, by the code, so it will be always accurate and there will be very less chance for the errors, right? So that is the reason why we should go for the automation testing, right? So what I'm going to show you here, right? So I have a sample application, okay? We have used for Android for the demo purpose, so that is open source. Okay, that is not any licensed application I'm gonna use. It is open source, so it's free to use, right? So what I'm going to do here, going to show you how a login scenario can be possible through the automation testing using Appium with on Java with Android. Okay, so I'm going to demo here two logins, successful login and two incorrect logins. Okay, so how can we achieve it through the automation? So it's just a demo. I'm not going to explain over anything so that we can have a clear picture like what is the power of Appium over on Android, right? So let me do this. So let me navigate to my screen. Okay, so here are my two simulators. Simulators are nothing but the virtual device which will act as a device, real devices, right? So this is my iPhone 11, okay, and this is my Android Pixel, Google Pixel, okay. So I'm gonna run over here the two application which is Source Lab, okay. So Source Lab is a open source application. So here I'm going to try with two valid user, okay, which are able to log in, okay, and then log out, okay. The same thing will be going here over here, right? And then I will test two negative scenarios where user will try to put a wrong username or password and try to log in, and he will get some error message, okay. So whether it is possible or not with the by Appium, we will be able to understand, and how fast it is also we can see that, okay. So let me quickly jump into IDE, which I'm using as Eclipse, and then I will start run my test case, and let's see. So okay, so I've initiated my test case. Now let's see how it will go, okay. So I will be not moving anything here, okay. I'm not operating this to simulator anything. It is running by the code itself, okay. So if you will see here, the code is started, but we will focus on here on the screen. So see, there is a problem here with the user, so it is automatically testing. Now it is able to log in, and it is able to log out, and the same over here is going on, okay. So this is the second user is also able to log in and log out successfully. Now here control is going on the iPhone, okay, and on the iPhone also it is trying the same thing, okay. So this is the invalid user, not invalid user, I mean user is fine, but password is not entered, right? So password is required. So now here another user is there, and also password is not mentioned, so that is the reason password is required. Now we'll try with some valid user, and we'll see if it is able to log in or not. So now standard user, and then we'll provide some password, and let's see. I have slowed down this execution because so that you can understand it. Otherwise, it will be very fast like Android, right? So that is the reason I have just slowed down it over on iPhone, so that we can understand what's going on in each step. But if we have to evaluate how speedily it will do the testing, we should get it from the Android side, right? So now it will click on this menu, and then it will log out. And here is the logout option, right? So it will go to logout, and it will perform the logout, and the same scenario will be get tested with the another test data. I mean, there is a one common test case which can be tested with different data set, okay. For example, this is a one scenario of a login, right? So we can test it with one username password, right? So we can use with multiple username and password, so there is no need to write any explicitly different use case for that, right? So that is the beauty of Appium over here by using test engine. So this is another user, okay. The flow is same, only test data is different. Test data means username and password. So I'm entering here valid username and valid password. So for that case also, it will able to log in, and then it will go to logout option, and it will log out successfully. So it's navigate over here. If you will see, it will again click on the menu icon, and then it will go to logout option, and that will ends the use case, okay. And then it will click on the logout button, okay. Yeah, the same thing, right? So here the test case will end, right? So here the test case ended, and without any issues and failures, okay. So this is the beauty of Appium. So I hope you have understand through the quick demo how powerful Appium is, okay, and how the things will work with the Appium. All the UI testing over on the mobile apps we can do with the help of Appium tool, okay. So let's move to next slide. Course outline. Okay. Obviously, in this course, what we are going to cover. So since it's a very beginning course for you guys, so these are the course outlines we are going to cover. So introduction to Appium. Obviously, we are going to first cover those things like what is Appium and what is the scope of Appium in order to learning the mobile automation side, right? How many possibilities are there with the Appium? What are the challenges with Appium? What is the pros and cons with the Appium? So that's what we are going to learn. What is the architecture of Appium, how Appium works, right? So those things we are going to learn in this introduction to Appium section, right? Appium setup and installation. Yes. So with our machine requirement, we need to set up the test environment so that we can go ahead and make our machine successfully set up for our writing the test code purpose, right? So that we can write the test code, we can run the test over on our machine. So that is the second section is all about the Appium setup and installation things. Okay, all are open source tool, and no paid license, any license tool we are going to use here. So it's fully open source. Nothing you need to pay or nothing you need to buy. Okay. The third one is the first code in Appium. Obviously, if we are once we are done with our setup and installation things, right, we need to move towards the writing the first Appium code, right? So whether we are able to run our first Appium script over on our real device or simulator, we are going to test here, right? So yeah, it is possible to run your own real device as well. If you have the one Android device, you can use it. Okay, you can plug with a USB and then you can start, I mean, executing your test case over on your real device. Or if you don't have, then what you can do, like what I have demo here, right, with the use of simulator. So like that also you can proceed. Okay, touch actions. Here we will learn how the touch actions can be possible with the Appium. So if you are using the mobile applications, right, so there are different gestures, right? You can swipe, you can use two fingers, zoom out, right? Scroll up, scroll down. So these are the touch actions. So how it can be achieved with the Appium, we are going to learn over here. Advanced gestures, yes, pinch out, pinch in, right? And a lot of some advanced gestures are there in Appium. We are going to learn over here. Advanced gestures, testing introduction. Obviously, once we will run the advanced gestures, then how we can use in our testing, right? So those approaches we are going to learn over here. Log for J introduction. Yeah, so once you will write the test cases, right? So you maybe in future you will be writing a lot of big test cases, right? So what's going on behind the scenes, right? If the test case execution is going on, then if you have to, log something, or you need to print some message, anything. Okay, this user has successfully logged in and moved to the next screen, something like that. You want notification somewhere, right? That will be possible through the log4j. Okay, so log4j is nothing but logging something in the file or on the console in order to understand your things are moving fine or there is any issues with your execution during the test runs. So that is all about the log4j. Log4j is Maven. So obviously we will be learning Maven build tool. So once you will automate your test case, right, it's gonna run on some cloud environment or in different machine on the day-to-day basis, right? So that is the beauty of the automation code, right? If you have automated the code, okay, so how you will utilize it, okay? So how to utilize it, like if your team is generating build daily, right? So daily you need to test that build manually, right? So let's say you are working for Facebook and daily they are giving you some new build, they are developing some new functionality on Facebook and telling you, hey, this is the new build, please test it whether it is working fine or not. If you don't have any automation setup over there, you need to do it manually, and it's a very regressive task for you. Every day you will wake up, you will get a new build and you will test it manually, and you will waste their 10 to 15 minutes time or some half an hour, 1 hour, like that, in order to validate whether the build is good or not, right? So why should not you automate this process, right? Once you will automate it, and then you can set up with your CI/CD tool, okay, continuous integration tool, okay, with the help of Maven, right? So Maven is a tool which will help you to integrate with CI/CD tools. Okay, so that is why we are using here Maven build tool, right? So that's why we need to integrate Log4j with Maven so that it will run on CI/CD tool. During that time, if someone has to see whether the things are going fine or not, we can know with the messages coming from the Log4j, right? So that's what we are going to achieve here. Framework building part, yes, obviously, because we can't write the test case in a plain files, right? So whenever you will develop some project, right, you have to follow some patterns and some guidelines, right? So that we will learn in the framework building part. Page object model, which is very famous, so that minimum effort for your team and for you in order to automate the test cases. So those guidelines and those principles we will learn during the framework building process. Practice test and interview question. Obviously, I'm gonna give you some assignments for your practice purpose, and also gonna help you for the interview questions in industry, which is very commonly asked or which are the very tricky one. most of the industries will ask you they will start with the very basic one, and then they will drill down you to the expertise level. They will ask you about the framework, how you have build the framework, what are your projects, what you have done, how you have automated, what are the different components you have used. Those parts we are going to cover here, so that you will be not hesitate at the time of your interview, and you will be fearless while facing the interview, and these things will be very smooth going for your interview process. Okay. So that's all about the course outline. Move to the next topic. So not only those courses, but we are going to add some more topics. Okay. So advanced learning with Appium tool. So some advanced tricks I'm going to tell you over here. Test data management. So how to externalize the test data from the external file. Okay. So you can provide your test data from external file as well. For example, Excel sheet. So for example, text sheet. Okay. For example, Google Sheets. So there are ways to do it. So how to make it possible through Appium. So we will learn over here. Parameterization approaches using TestNG. So this is very interesting feature in the TestNG, which is very commonly asked in interviews. So we will learn it. Okay. So very easy to use. Other important and valuable TestNG functionality. So TestNG offers a lot of functionalities. Okay. So everything we can't cover in this curriculum because TestNG is very vast thing. But yes, what are the major things are there, and which is very important, and which is currently in fashion in the automation world, we are going to discuss over here. So that is all about the add-on topics. Additional course resources. So the learning will not stop here, right? It is a open source tool, and day-to-day life, many things will come into the picture, right? So if you will learn now, many things will get added into the next year also, because Android will release a lot of versions. With lot of versions, new functionality will come, and with the new functionalities, the Appium will support it, right? So Appium will add a lot of new libraries with it, right? So that is the reason why we have to go for additional course sources. So there I will be providing you a lot of sites where you will be getting the updates from the Appium community. Okay. And project with different framework development. So with the help of Appium, how you can develop different projects, right? Also you can learn that there are different frameworks models, right? BDD, behavior driven development. TDD is very famous, test driven development. Okay. So these are the framework styles. Okay. So it is very popular in the industry. So when you will go to the industry, they will tell you we are following BDD, we are following TDD. So you have to very familiar with these terminologies. What is BDD? What is TDD? Or other things, which we are going to discuss over here in the additional course resources. Execute automation test on cloud. Yes. So let's say for you are working for a very big company, right? And there is very large community of the devices. If you will talk about the Android devices, there are there's lot of devices in Android, right? There is Samsung manufacturer, there is HTC, and there is Xiaomi, right? There is Realme, and within these providers there are a lot of models, right? So how you will test it, how you will ensure your application will work on all the devices, right? It is very impossible to test over it, right? In order to do that, the cloud execution will come into the picture, right? So cloud execution is nothing but they will provide you the devices on the cloud. Okay. And then you can run your test case in parallel mode. Parallel in the sense, you will trigger your test case from here. It will simultaneously run on many devices, on several devices. Okay. And it will give you the results. Okay. So that is the beauty of executing the automation test on cloud. So there are so many companies are there who are providing this cloud execution. One is very famous as Sauce Lab. So we will create a one trial account for 30 days, and I will show you how to achieve this so that you can have idea, so that it will be helpful for you while you will going through with the interview, and interview will ask you, okay, you know the automation, fine, but if you have to test your automation script with multiple devices which are not available in our organization, whether we will go for purchasing those real devices, it will be very costly, right? Or what is your approach, how you will do it? So in that case, you can answer this question in this way. We can use cloud execution, we can take a subscription, okay, of a cloud execution platform, and then we can run our test script on cloud, and it is reliable, and the report and recording will come along with this. Okay. We will talk in brief about this one when we will go with the additional course contents. Okay. It's very interesting topic. TestNG advanced topic. Yes. So TestNG also provides a lot of functionality to hook up with the while hooking up your test execution with the cloud, right? So that's what we will discuss here. Appium tips and tricks. Yeah. So for example, if your login is OTP based, right? So how you will do it? So OTP will be coming on your real device, right? It won't come in the simulator, right? So it is not possible you to test on the simulator because simulator can't have the SIM over it, right? Because it's run over on your virtual machine, right? It's a virtual machine, right? It's not a physical machine. So in order to achieve it, how you can do that, right? It will come over on fly as in the SMS, right? And then you need to feed the text in your application, right? So such kind of interesting tips and tricks we are going to learn here, how to achieve it through the Appium. So that also can be possible over here. Okay. Okay. Moving to next slide, projects. So once we learn our Appium, I mean Appium with Android. So how you will prove your expertise, right? When you are going to the interview, okay, you know the Appium, but you really used it somewhere, or really you use those concepts in some testing, okay, or really you have done some projects while using the Appium or not. So for that purpose, we have included two projects over here. Okay. So one is online shopping app automation, which is e-commerce domain. And another domain we are going to cover here is transportation domain. So that you can prove your expertise in different domain. You are not bounded with only one domain, but you have worked on different domain that you can prove while the interview. So and if you have worked over on two projects, that means you have some knowledge on this, right? So Appium is not new for you, right? You have already done somewhere else, right? So yeah, so that is the reason we have included here the two projects which are going to cover here. In both of the projects, where the following things we are going to be cover: automation framework development. Obviously, without framework development, you can't go for the project, right? So that's what we are going to learn here. Page object model pattern we are going to implement here. Different use cases automation. So once we will cover the project one and project two, we are going to cover in the same fashion. We will write the test cases, different use cases for the features, how it will work in the industry, and if we will just assume that we are working for a one company, okay, and we are doing it for them, right? So it will give you a real time experience, like you are doing some internship anywhere with the IP. So it will be like that, okay. Test suite creation, obviously we will create the test suite and we will run it on the daily basis or weekly basis or bi-weekly basis, and it will generate your reports, and you will analyze the reports, how many failures you got it, right? How many test cases have got passed. So those things will become over here, right? Log file generation, report generation, the same thing, we will get the report for the same. All right, so that is what about the projects. All right, so lab setup, Android with Appium, right? So we are going to learn here Android with Appium. So what are the necessary tools and machines we need over here? Okay, if you talk about the Android with Appium, so Android development can be done in the Windows machine. So Windows machine is enough for that. But if we have to learn Appium with Android, oh sorry, with iOS, right? So for the iOS ecosystem, you need a Mac machine. Okay, so Mac machine is capable enough to automate Android and iOS. Okay, if you have a Mac machine, okay, you can automate Android as well as iOS. But if you have Windows machine, you can use only, you can automate only or learn only Android devices. Okay, it is capable to automate only Android device. This is the limitation for the Appium, and this is how it is coming from the Apple ecosystem. We can't do anything over here, right? So yeah, so we have added here the lab setup for Windows machine. Obviously, for that's the reason it's for Android. Prerequisite is obviously you need a high speed internet for desktop and laptop in order to go with the online sessions, right? And then system requirement. So you should have to have Microsoft Windows 10 installed in your machine, or you should have a MacBook with you. Okay, if you have a MacBook, then you're very good enough. If you have even though Windows machine with Microsoft Windows 10, then it is also superb for the learning the Android. 500 GB minimum hard disk is recommended because Android SDK is very big. It will be like 70 to 80 GB. So once you will install it, it's a one-time setup process. Once one time it will get installed in your machine, and then you are going to use it. So that is the open source thing, and that is very huge thing. So that is the reason 500 GB hard disk is must available in your machine. I mean, 500 GB should not be total. I mean, this is the configuration we are talking about a machine. Okay, so 500 GB hard disk will be your machine hard disk, and out of that, you maybe needed 250 GB or 200 GB empty space for your automation purpose. Okay, that will be enough. Memory, if it is 16 GB, it's very good, but 8 to 16 GB is recommended. 8 will be further slow down your execution process. 8 will be also okay, but 16 is recommendable. And CPU will be 4 cores is recommended. i3, i5, i7, it will work good in that. i3 is probably some slow, but i5 will be good. Okay, so yeah. Coming to the device requirement, if you have a Android Real device, it will be very good, because on Android Real device you can simulate many things. For example, it contains sim, right? So you can test some OTP scenarios also, which can't be possible on the simulator. But for initial steps, you have to use simulator, because simulator is very easy to use, because it is directly tied up within your system, whether it's a virtual device. That is the reason. Okay, so we are going to use both. So no partiality between Android Real device and simulator. Okay. Software requirement. So Java, we are going to use Eclipse is the IDE. We will use it with TestNG plugin. Android SDK, obviously, we are dealing with Android, so Android SDK is required. Maven installation, yes, Maven is a build tool. We are going to use it, so we will go through the installation process, and the same thing we will use in our Actis project as well. Appium desktop version. Appium desktop is a server, so Appium server we need it in order to run the test cases. So that is required. That is a small program, open source. We will use it, and few additional open source tools. If we want any additional tools which are open source, we will be using it on demand purpose. Okay, so there will be no paid or licensed version tools. We are going to use it. Okay, we are not going to use any paid version. All are open source and free to use. Mock interviews, we are going to, once you will complete this course, right, you will be ready to project your these skill sets to for the companies, right? So we are going to prepare you for the mock interviews, right? So after completion of your course, we conduct mock interviews for the participants, right? And then we will understand where is the gap in order to understand this concept. Okay, as per to your knowledge and what you have grasped and where you need to improvise yourself, right? So we are going to help you in this context. We will provide you basic interview questions which are commonly asked in most of the companies, okay, during the interview. So very common questions which are very common to every organization. Once they will start with the APM interviews, right? So they will start with very basic questions, right? So those commonly asked questions we are going to tell you, and we will prepare you on this framework explanation with project completion, right? So they're gonna ask you, okay, which project you have done, right? What are the projects you have done over on the Appium, right? So obviously, if you have done some project on the Appium, you have used some framework over there, right? So they're gonna ask you this question and how to explain it in front of some technical person or who are interviewing you over on the Appium. We will, prepare you on this. Okay, how to answer this kind of questions. Appium architecture explanation preparations. So how Appium works, right, internally, and how it is communicating to the device and how the libraries work. So these very technical questions they may ask you in order to evaluate you how you know the Appium very well, right? Internal functionalities. So for that purpose also we are going to prepare you. All right. The certifications, you can do some additional certifications which will help you once you will go to industry and we will deal with your mobile automation work, right? So these are few interesting certification which are not mandatory, but which can boost up your skill sets for your future, right? So cloud tool certification for mobile apps, okay, execution like sauce lab. So sauce lab is a very interesting cloud execution tool which will give you feasibility to run your test case, mobile test case over on the clouds. So you can see your execution over on the cloud with some devices. Those are nothing but real devices, right? And you can see it over on the browser itself, how it is running. So how to hook up your test case, source labs, browser stacks, and there are a lot of good, cloud execution websites are available which are offering you a lot of devices, right? So there are certification also available. If you can you can do the certification over on this technologies, then it will give you a good impression over on the companies. Like you have did the certification, you have the knowledge how to do the things on these cloud sites. So this is all about. Okay. and which will give you a good exposure over on CI/CD integration. So once you will do the CI/CD integration, it will gonna help. AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, beginner certification for testing. So a lot of companies are using this Amazon Web Services, right? Azure from Microsoft and Google Cloud from Google Services, right? So if they will ask you, okay, upload your results over on the Amazon Cloud, right? So then you need to know about those things, or Azure, or every your organization can fetch from some server, right? So those kind of things for the testing purpose, you if you can do the beginner certification, that's okay, but that is not mandatory. Okay, this is not mandatory at all. If you will do, it's good enough, otherwise leave it. Selenium grid certification, so a lot of things will come from the Selenium grid. So grid is also a concept, so that is not mandatory to learn, but this is optional for you. Docker certification is also an interesting thing. A lot of companies are dealing with the Docker certificate, Docker mechanism. Okay, but it's in mobile automation, that is optional. Okay, but if you are dealing with Selenium web automation, then you may need to learn it. But if you are dealing with only mobile automation, then Docker is an optional for you. It is good to learn. Okay. So this is all about the certifications. So thank you. So thank you very much for attending this demo, and please share your feedback and contact us for queries related to course scope, schedule, reference, cost, and payment options. So here is our email, and here is our Indian and US numbers. Thank you, everyone.